There is one component has been completely neglected in this, in the consideration of how do we treat the pandemic, how do we go about this, and that is the most important component of the immune system, which is the innate, with regard to COVID, okay, is the innate immune system. We have an innate immune system that, especially in young people, in children, you know, children barely get any disease, is very strong, is very well developed. As we grow up, as we get in contact with more and more germs, as we get also diseases, all kinds of diseases, we start to develop specific immunity, specific antibodies. That is not innate, that is acquired. That is the other arm of the immune system. And as this evolves, the innate immune system, the defense against a specific pathogen or against pathogens, gets increasingly eroded at the advantage of the acquired immune response. So the innate immune response is very, very important to realize this. We call this polyspecific. It's not specific for a single pathogen. For example, in case of COVID, the innate immunity that we have is active against all coronaviruses, yes. Right? Yes. It's not just COVID or its variants or whatever, all coronaviruses. So that is fantastic. And it's especially in younger people, it's very well developed, or people who are really in very good health, could even be people 80 years old, they are in good shape, in good health, etc. But Matt, the important thing to realize is that what is the single biggest disadvantage of this innate immune system? This innate immune system has no, we call this immunological memory. So this is to say, you know, the acquired immune response, if you have seen the pathogen, your immune system, you know, will induce B cells, T cells, and those guys acquire a memory. This is to say, next time when the pathogen comes in, they have their arms already, you know, ready to go. So they can immediately attack it and destroy it. Yeah. The innate immune system doesn't have this. So what is really critical, which is critically important, is that in order to keep your innate immune system in good shape, you need to keep it well trained. So that is to say, Matthew, if you're going to sit on your chair, on your seat for like 3 weeks, you're going to see that your muscles are going to wane. I mean, your muscles are going to, you know, shrink. Yep. So you need to train, you need to exercise. And what is this exercise for the immune system? This is simply to get exposed to all kinds of foreign influences in the environment, etc. So what have we been doing at the beginning of the pandemic? To a large extent, I don't know how the situation was in your country, etc. But and it has been dealt with in different ways in different countries. We have been closing schools, we have been closing universities, we have been telling to our kids, you know, I mean, don't get too much in contact with those and those guys. And I think this was completely wrong. Of course, I've always been, even regardless of the pandemic, I've always been against this mass convenings, mass gatherings where you have thousands and thousands of people, you know, in one small place. My background is veterinary medicine. We know in industrial farms where you have a high stocking density of animals, like, for example, pigs or poultry, I mean, they are extremely susceptible to getting diseases, of course. This is because just of the, you know, huge density. But what has happened during these lockdowns is that, of course, you know, a lot of people who had a very good innate immune system, they lost their training. You know, the innate immune system didn't get trained any well, and that, you know, that was something which was certainly not very favorable in terms of their immune defense in general against COVID.
So is it fair to say that we should have stopped large gatherings and so on, but we definitely should not have completely isolated our entire population, such as Australia and New Zealand, where I am in Australia? We are so isolated that we have no cases. And that's politicians say that's wonderful, but some of us are fearful that we are so isolated that we've had zero exposure, that when we do finally become exposed, we're going to be very, very susceptible.
Matthew, I mean, your wording is just 200% correct. I mean, of course, the countries and the continents that think they are going to solve the problem by full isolation or by doing immediate lockdowns, like, for example, in China, you have a case and immediately 100,000 people get locked up. You can do this, provided you accept to stay isolated
forever.
So that means, what about trade? What about tourism? What about exchanges, etc.? Because, as you were pointing out correctly, you will be extremely susceptible